Ladies and gentlemen, this is an ABC News article. Trump White House attorney disputes Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony about handwritten note. Now, this is one of the most absurd allegations leveled at Trump because it would never be leveled. This type of thing would never be used against Hillary, Bill, Joe, Hunter, anyone. The standard of suspicion against a Democrat is completely different than against Trump. That's why when they say Trump lied 30,000 times, according to the Washington Post, yeah, but you don't judge or criticize or critique the statements of mashed potato brains Joe or Bill or Hillary or President Obama in the manner that you critique Trump's statements. Otherwise, you'd have just as many, if not more, almost certainly more, with this current president. Okay, Trump never worked with the Kremlin. He was never installed by another country. They accused him of that for 4 years. Trump was telling the truth. All of media was lying or lying by omission. So they were either deceiving people overtly and with intent to deceive, or they were lying by omission. The Steele dossier is raw intelligence. No, it was never raw. It was raw refuse. That's what Trump had to deal with, gossip and hearsay. Meanwhile, Hunter has emails and business associates and a money trail and foreign governments and businesses and billionaires and wealthy individuals throughout the planet giving him money. Why do you think they're giving him money? Because his father was vice president. Because those people are not stupid. They want access to the United States government. They either want access or the allure or the promise of one day beneficial treatment from the United States government. And you have emails and a money trail. You don't have a money trail with Trump. You never had emails he wrote. You never had business associates. You never had his family doing business with others around the world who just wanted to infiltrate the United States government. Those emails within Hunter's laptop, those emails we couldn't talk about. Now we can. So the New York Post and the Daily Mail, those journalists deserve, they deserve Pulitzer Prizes. By the way, later tonight at around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Pacific, I will have a live stream on this channel, so be here. If you want to support my work, my Patreon is below. And subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel and the Bitcoin Crash to 10,000 or lower channel. I will have segments later tonight on those channels. If you want to give a super thanks to this segment, the super thanks is right below the like and the share button, or in between those buttons. And by the way, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell and get all notifications, because sometimes that doesn't happen. So here's the story. There was a handwritten note that Hutchinson claims that she wrote. This is not true. Or there's some kind of lie by omission. The committee has no evidence that Trump organized or told people to commit any criminal acts. He used the word peaceful, and he didn't commit a crime. So that's the thing. He didn't commit a crime. Now, if his lack of condemnation, according to Democrats or the committee, is grounds for culpability, then Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and every Democrat, Adam Schiff, all of these Democrats on the committee are culpable, and they are responsible for a historic West Virginia Catholic church being destroyed, or churches throughout the country being vandalized and destroyed, pro-life buildings being vandalized and destroyed, people being intimidated throughout the country after Roe v. Wade was overturned. Okay? If that's the case, if the belief, the warped, absurd belief is that, well, there's a handwritten note. So here's the logic here. Cassidy Hutchinson claims there's a handwritten note she wrote, okay, to memorialize, the note memorialized this, but Trump did not take that action at the time. So here, in response to Hutchinson's claim, a spokesperson for the January committee said, and here's where they backtrack. The committee has done its diligence on this matter and have found Mrs. Hutchinson's account of this matter to be credible. Now, the word credible is used by Democrats and people on the left to just say the hearsay and gossip or the accusation without any evidence. So they did this with Kavanaugh. It's a credible accusation. Well, is it a credible accusation with Tony Bobulinski? Hunter's business associate looks at actual emails and money transfer, money flow, like business deals, and putting two and explaining that, oh yeah, these business people throughout the planet, or these wealthy individuals, or these corporations, or these governments wanted to do business with Hunter because of his last name, because they could have access through Joe, the current vice president at the time, and the eventual president. So they were giving Hunter money so they could get beneficial treatment from the United States government, knowing that Joe might eventually force out a prosecutor, for example. And that prosecutor from that country would testify under oath that he was forced out specifically because of the business arrangement. That's according to Rudy Giuliani. But of course, Democrats don't like anything that points to their corruption. So the committee has done its diligence and found Mrs. Hutchinson's account on this matter credible. While we understand that she and Mr. Hirschman, so the White House lawyer Eric Hirschman has refuted the absurd claim that Trump didn't want to read a handwritten note from didn't want to read Cassidy Hutchinson's note condemning condemning that day, and he for some reason didn't want to read the note and wanted to let the mayhem and chaos continue. While we understand that she and Mr. Hirschman may have differing recollections of who wrote the note, what's ultimately important is that both White House officials believe that the president should have immediately instructed his supporters to leave the Capitol building. He did immediately instruct his supporters. Okay? He didn't perhaps know exactly what was going on. Perhaps there were conflicting reports. Who knows? But it was what, an hour, 2 hours, or I don't even know. If in hindsight, sure, it would have been better had Trump even before then. But at least it took within the day. Not like Liz Cheney. When has Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger ever condemned violence against churches? Because there are churches being destroyed throughout the country. Has AOC condemned this violence? When have they condemned this? I want to know. Okay? The note memorial. So, what's ultimately important is that both White House officials believe the president should have immediately instructed his supporters to leave the building. First of all, the notion that it's his supporters, those people who committed those criminal acts, number one, many of them were not the traditional Trump supporter. Democrats can say, oh, yes, they were. No, they were not. Okay? Many of them almost certainly didn't even vote for Trump. But that's a whole other story. There were also government officials there. And Ted Cruz basically found that out. Government official we won't get into said, yeah, we can't tell you how many government officials were there. Okay, that's another story. But this is what they have. A letter that Trump should have read sooner rather than later. This means he organized everything. This means he's culpable in a criminal sense. You have no reason exactly. Maybe he didn't like the letter. Maybe he wanted a different letter. Who cares? It's not emails showing. It's not the foundation, Bill and Hillary's foundation, that actually, where hundreds of millions of dollars are flowing into the foundation and beneficial treatment is taking place. Endless examples of beneficial treatment. But you can't put two and two together. If 20% of U.S. uranium capacity is sold to our mortal enemies, you can't put two and two together. The money was just sent there, for altruism. But Trump should have written a letter. It was a handwritten letter by Cassidy Hutchinson, and you know what? Oh my God. And so that's the mentality. The mentality is any weak, tangential leap of logic, absurd weak link to Trump, a handwritten letter, a dossier that just accuse Trump of anything. But definitely don't use the actual evidence against Democrats. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Be here tonight for the live stream at around 8, 9 p.m. Pacific.